It is Matt, and it is my honor to be joined today by the one, the only author, podcaster, actor, wrestler, and the lead singer for Fozzy, Chris Jericho. Chris, what's going on, man?
Hanging out, talking to you, man. Very, very cool.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time to do this. I know you've got a busy night ahead of you. It's a big night for you. The 5th Labor of Jericho is happening tonight, Chapter 5. You've made it through the first 4 chapters. You made it through the death match, and you made it through Wardlow last week, and now you face MJF tonight. What do you think about, your rivalries over the course of your career? Where does this sort of rank in terms of rivalries with, you've had some great ones with Malenko or Juventud or Shawn Michaels or anything like that. Where does what you've done with MJF the past few weeks, where does that rank for you?
I don't really think of that sort of stuff of ranking it. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's a great storyline that people are very excited about, and they're obviously into it because the numbers have been some of the highest on the show for the last few weeks that we've been doing this. So it's all about storytelling. It's like it's like singing a great song. It's all about the emotion and the connection with the audience when you tell these types of stories. And the fact that people are excited about it and are into it is cool for me. So ranking it, I don't really have a ranking for it, but it's very successful just due to the reaction that we're getting from it, which is the most important thing.
One of the stipulations for tonight's match, and we talk stipulations, you talk no DQ or this guy can't be at the side of the ring or whatever. One of the stipulations for the match tonight is no Judas. So when you come through the curtains, you will not hear your song Judas, which is sort of taken on a life of its own. Do you think it'll be more difficult walking out tonight, full crowd, no Judas, or walking out during the pandemic, no crowd, but Judas is playing?
It was one of those things that was really cool. It started last year, actually on my cruise, the Rock and Wrestling Rager, where people just started singing along to the song. And that's kind of what you're always looking for, is an organic reaction, and the fact that people just sort of picked it up and were singing it themselves was very, very cool. And it's become kind of one of the highlights of a live Dynamite, both being there live and watching it too. And it was weird during the pandemic not having any fans there to sing it. And I remember the first time we had fans back, I was like, well, I hope they remember, I hope they still sing along with it, because it was such a big part of the show and an integral part of kind of my whole presentation. And they did. And that's kind of the thing that's been cool about our company, is that we really not only kept the lights on and kept the ball rolling with the pandemic, but we flourished, to when we started going back on the road. And it's been about 6 weeks now. Everybody was excited to see us again. And it's the same as going on tour and playing shows with Fozzy. The fact that we didn't get a chance to play for, over 18 months, the first show back that we had, it was it was like one of the greatest moments of all time, because you're realizing that people are still wanting to have fun and are still getting involved and they're still engaging. And that was super cool and super important, not just for AEW, but for Fozzy as well.
I've got to imagine that the last year and a half has been stranger for you than most. You've spent much of your adult life traveling, whether with wrestling or with Fozzy. I'm sure it was nice to be able to stay at home, but it also seems like for you, it would have been a huge lifestyle change.
Yeah, it was. I've been doing this since I was 19 years old and constantly on the road and constantly traveling. And I think talking to everybody that kind of was a road dog like me, it was a good way to kind of take a step back and realize maybe it was a little too much touring all the time and traveling all the time. Obviously, you want to do it, but I think now you can be a little bit more judicious in the shows that you do and the tours that you book and all that sort of thing, because it was a lot before. And then going from a lot to zero, then you're kind of like, maybe there's a good kind of middle ground for this. And talking to a lot of people that I know in bands and wrestling too, we all kind of feel the same way, that we really missed being on the road, but also really missed being at home with your family and your kids. So I think it's going to help a lot of guys to kind of meet in the middle a little bit as far as the touring that they're doing, and not being gone just because that's what you're supposed to do. You're a rock band, you have to be gone, or you're a wrestler and you have to be traveling. And it's like, do you really have to be? I don't think so, because we just lived through a whole year of not doing it, and we all came out okay on the back end.
If there's one thing you've done over the years, it's stay busy, whether it's with Fozzy or with wrestling or the podcast or narrating Dark Side of the Ring or whatever you've had going on, writing books. How do you find the time to do all this stuff? Because most people work a job and they go home, and you're a dude that just, I mean, I'm sure even during the pandemic, when you didn't have some of these other things happening, you never stopped creating and doing stuff.
Yeah, and I still do my job and go home too. That's the difference. I mean, I don't think I'm as busy as people think that I am. It's just that I use my time wisely, and that's the thing. Even with the podcast, for example. I mean, when you're on the road, I mean, it's the perfect time to do episodes of the show because I don't have anything else to do. So after I talk to you, I'll do a Talk as Jericho later on today, and I did one last night. And it's kind of like, well, why do you find the time? It's like, well, there's nothing but time when you're on the road. So having a podcast is the perfect basically time to do that, because it's like writing a book or whatever it may be. I mean, you have lots of time to create and still be able to kind of keep all the plates spinning, and also to still have some good home time as well. So I think that's basically it. It's just really good time management.
You did have some time during the pandemic to start up a new project. What is the current status of Quarantine, your Kiss cover band?
Yeah, I mean, and let me be more specific for those listening. It's 80s Kiss non-makeup cover band, which I don't think has ever really existed. I mean, if I hear Shout It Out Loud and Do You Love Me one more time, my head will explode. The idea for Quarantine was always just a fun thing. Once again, you mentioned trying to do some stuff in the pandemic to keep us busy. And Quarantine just kind of formed organically. We did 3 songs and 3 videos. And the first one, No, 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 went to number 25 on the Billboard chart, which was cool. I think it's the highest charting song from the Kiss Crazy Nights record, our version of it. So, yeah, the idea was always to do a song when it felt right. And we're actually starting to work on another one now. And maybe we'll do a couple shows. Maybe we'll do the Jericho Cruise this year, play a set on that. So it's just purely for fun. And people seem to enjoy it, and we enjoy it. So it gives all of us a chance to kind of spread our wings out from our normal bands. If you're talking about playing in Fozzy or I mean, Joe McGinnis is kind of more of a shredder type guy, almost a country music in a way. And of course, Kent, the drummer, is the drummer for Luke Bryan. So he's touring stadiums, playing country music as well. So this gives us a chance to just play a different type of music that we wouldn't normally play in our respective bands.
If you haven't had the chance, definitely go check out the Quarantine stuff. And obviously, we're here to talk about Fozzy. It's crazy to me to think that you've been doing the Fozzy thing. Now, you talked about being on the road as a wrestler since 19, but you've been doing Fozzy now at this point for like 20 years, over 20 years. When you first started performing with Rich and you did those first shows, do you think this would be similar to Quarantine? You do a show here and there, you guys would meet up when you could, or did you expect that like 20 years down the road, you and Rich would still be doing this?
I don't think there's any expectations at all. We just started out having fun and playing. And then as we progressed, realized that we had a pretty good rock and roll band. We enjoyed doing it. And I think specifically over the last 8 to 10 years, when we started really getting exposure on rock radio on fine stations such as yours, it took us to a different level. And then Judas struck and it became like a legit hit single. Both, in video views, I think we're over 50 million now. It's getting played in sports arenas, and it got to number 5 on the charts. And then that kind of really opened the door for Painless and Burn Me Out and Nowhere to Run. And now with Sane, I mean, it's the quickest we've ever gotten to the top 20, I think only in 4 or 5 weeks. So it's probably got a chance to go even higher than Judas. And you never really realize how important rock radio is until you get played on it. And then you realize, holy smokes, like this really takes you to the next level. So, I mean, I don't know what I expected when we started, other than that it was fun. And here we are, like you mentioned, all these years later with 6 consecutive top 30 singles. And now we're a legit radio band, a successful radio band. So you can't keep talent and creativity down. And we always had that. So I always figured like, who knows what we can do with this. And here we are now, like I said, kind of one of the up and coming top bands on radio. And that seems very organic and natural to me, because when I was a kid, I wanted to be in a rock band and I wanted to be a wrestler. I blew it up in the wrestling world. So why wouldn't I be able to do the same thing in rock and roll, which is exactly what's happening with a great collection of guys. It's never been Chris Jericho and his, merry band of idiots. It's always been a 5-prong rock and roll band where everybody kicks ass. And that's kind of one of the reasons why we've been so successful. Is
it frustrating when people see, okay, Chris Jericho is fronting this band and they kind of disregard the rest of the band and they're just like, why? I mean, and granted, you've been doing this for a long time. I'm sure early on, though, people see wrestler fronting band. We can't take this seriously. When you have a guy like Rich Ward, who was in Stuck Mojo and has been around for years and years, can that be frustrating for you guys? Even now, people probably still say, well, Chris Jericho is a wrestler. Why is he singing? Even though you've been doing it for 20 years at this point.
Well, I think those attitudes are gone now, like you said, because with all the radio play that we've got and all the success we had, I think kind of like that, oh, the wrestler guy singing has kind of gone out the window. We've more than proven ourselves. You know, it's either good music or it's bad music. You know, I'm sure there's still people that are hung up on Taylor Momsen being Cindy Lou Who in, you know, The Grinch Christmas. Like, okay, great, but who really cares? Either it's good or it's bad. Either she can sing or she can't. Either Chris Jericho is a good frontman or he's not. So that sort of stuff is always going to exist. There's always going to be people that maybe say that, but it's not even an issue at this point in time. Like I said, I think when you just hear these songs and see the type of reaction and you know, I mean, Judas is about to go gold over the next few months, and how many bands have an actual gold record in this day and age? There's not a lot, you know, and some of them might be quote unquote wrestling fans, but I think those ones came and went a long time ago. Now it's just pure Fozzy fans, which is great.
Your next album will be your 8th, I believe, and your first album in a few years. But you guys started actually working on this a couple of years ago, and the pandemic sort of threw a wrench into everything. I mean, you released Nowhere to Run in 2019, which was supposed to be the lead single, correct?
Yeah, we were kind of calling it Chinese Fozzocracy. It was taking so long to make. And yeah, we started in 2019, and then pandemic happens, and then we couldn't record, and then we could record like Who Wants to Release a Record in the middle of the pandemic. I couldn't figure that out. Like AC/DC with Power Up, it was like one of the best AC/DC records ever, and it came and went because they couldn't tour on it. And of course it's AC/DC, so it's a little different, but there's a lot of bands that released great music and it just kind of came and went. We did not want that music release with Sony to have either, so it's all done. It's ready to go. But it's now just more about releasing it a single at a time until it's time to put it out. But the world now. So Nowhere to Run went to number 10. I think saying push singles, and when the record is ready to go out, you know, from a standpoint, it's in the can and all ready and finished. So really excited about it. But we're also excited how Sane is doing and how quickly it's done, the levels that it's gotten to.
With your last album, Judas, being the success that it was, in the song Judas being the success that it still is, do you feel like pressure to do it even bigger and better the next go round? I mean, you've had a lot of time to work on the album. Do you have like pressure, like we have to do it all over again?
I mean, I think there's a pressure because you want to continue to you know, and Judas, the album was kind of the game changer for us. So now you have to follow. But I think if you liked Sane and like the vibe of that song, that kind of vibe of what this new record is going to be like. It's take Judas, the Judas record kind of typical. It's heavy, it's very melodic, it's very radio friendly, but there's also a lot of really kind of crunchy groove parts, just typical Fozzy. If you liked the Judas record, you like this. And the idea is to make it better. I mean, you know, I always laugh when the bands say this is the best thing we've ever done, which is what you should say, and that's what you should feel. You know, I'm waiting for a band to say this is the third best record we've ever done. Like, you know, it shouldn't. If you feel that, then you probably didn't do a good job. And what I like to do is we recorded the record and I had a copy of it. And I hadn't listened to it in months because I just wanted to stay away from it for a while. And I put on just the other day and it's like, holy shit, like from song one to song done, every song on here kicks ass. And that's what you want. That's the feeling that you want to get. So we're excited. Like I said, we're ready to release it whenever the powers that be deem it ready. But it is ready on our account and we're excited about it.
How much does it suck having an album done, ready to go? You guys have these songs, they're ready. And like you said, you've been able to sit, you know, months between listens and it still hasn't been able to be heard by your fans. You're just sitting on a moment to release it. How much does that suck as the band?
I mean, it doesn't suck. I think, obviously, you know, I mean, I think Iron Maiden's new record that's coming out in a few weeks has been ready for a couple of years. I think Power Up, the AC/DC record, was a few years done. It's all timing. You don't want to release it and have it come and go. So I don't think suck is the word. Like I said, we finish it, you put it away, and when it's ready to take out of its shiny box, then you do that. The last thing I would want to spend all this time on a record and not have it get the exposure that it deserves because it comes out when nobody's touring or now people are just starting to get back to being on tour. I think another 6 months, it's not going to affect the album either way. It's not like there's a timer on expires and suddenly, well, oh my gosh, grunge is out. Now what are we gonna do with this grunge album that we made? It's a Fozzy record. It could come out today. It could come out in 6 months. And either way, it's still quality and it still rocks. And in the meantime, you put out singles to kind of tide people over. So I think that's kind of pretty much just the way of the world right now, anyway, when it comes to record releases.
You mentioned the single, Sane, the new single. It's been out for a few weeks. I've heard you talk about how you had to sort of go to bat for that song in particular to make sure that was the single because you felt like this is the single, this needs to be the song. What is it about Sane that you thought when you heard it, it's all recorded, it's it's ready to go. When you heard it, you go, this has to be the song. This is it.
I mean, anytime a band has gone for a while and puts out a new song, I always want it to be a raw song. I was always like that when I was a kid. I'm like that now. I want it to come out of the gates just blasting where it's like, fuck, this is killer, man. So that thing was perfect for that. And, like I said, there's other songs that might be kind of maybe more radio friendly and catchier and maybe, but to me, Sane is the perfect statement of what Fozzy has done over the last 3 years, 4 years, where we're at. And it's just got this killer that just makes you want to just punch something in the best possible way. To me, it's like, if I was a Fozzy, I would want this song to come out first and go, okay, my band is back. This is very exciting. And this rocks. And then the next one could be a little bit more accessible if need be. This one kind of sets the tone, the same that Judas set the tone when it came out before the record did, where you're just excited about it right out of the gate.
I will say as a radio programmer and a dude that's been doing this for 20 years, it's always a bummer when a band is away for a while and they come out and their first single back is like it's a ballad or it's just a downer of a song. And you want something that, like you said, comes out and punches you in the face. And then you get this like, oh, this is what we're reintroducing the band with, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And that's it should make you excited and make you happy, make you smile. And like I said, Judas was the same where I hadn't to go to bat for it, but there was a couple different ideas. And I said, Judas is the one. It's the first song on the record. It's going to be the first song we play live. Same thing with Sane. As soon as I heard it, it's like that kicks off the album. That's going to be the concert opener. It's just the right song to release. And like I said, the reaction for it has been great right out of the gate. So I think I made the right choice and we all made the right choice together.
You've been getting a lot of attention for the video for Sane as well. It was filmed on the world's largest wooden roller coaster. You guys had to ride it a total of 6 times to get all the shots that you needed. And true or false, not everybody made it into all 6 shots. Not every band member made it through every ride on the roller coaster.
Well, yeah, but you're going to have to watch really closely. And we did it 6 times. 4 of them we could use because of technical difficulty. But the human body isn't made to do 6 roller coaster rides in a row. But all that matters was a very unique, cool video that no one had ever done before. And there's a reason for that. I'm not sure if we'll ever go on a roller coaster again, but it definitely accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. And whether or not, it's a killer video. And once again, a representation of the creativity of Fozzy.
With the tour coming up, it's happening here. You've done some tour dates and things like that. How excited are you to get back out on the road and to play some of these new songs that you've sort of been waiting on? I know you played a few of them, but you've got that big tour kicking off in September. How excited are you to get back out on the road and play these shows for your fans?
I mean, like I said earlier, it's just great to be back on the road, be back in front of people, and that's what it's all about, man. I mean, I really missed playing concerts, I missed going to concerts. And, we bring the same attitude to our shows that we do to anything we do. We want people to have fun. We want people to have a great time. And they always do. So it's fun to play some new songs. There's a couple songs we're playing that no one's ever heard before because the record isn't out. But we thought, let's do it. It's hard sometimes to play a new song where people are going to record it and it goes online right away. But fuck it. It's just the way, we want it to be something exciting. You're like, oh my gosh, they played this new song and no one's ever heard it before, and kind of makes you feel like you were a part of something special. So we're really excited for it. The tour has been postponed 4 times. So this is the one that come and show up and play. And the tickets, a lot of the gigs are sold out. Some of them are close to selling out. And any way you slice it, our attitude of 10,000 is going to roll tour, long time to get it out there.